Welcome back to the channel of History at War, where we dive deep and uncover the hidden world of World War II. We will be looking into one of Germany's most feared and brutal divisions, the 1st SS Panzer Division. During the early stages of the invasion of Poland, the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler joined the infantry division to provide flank protection for the southern part of the operation. They faced brutal battles against Polish cavalry units that were attempting to attack the German flanks. At Pabianice, the LSSAH fought off forces from the Polish Infantry Division and Wolinska Cavalry Brigade in close combat. During the campaign, the LSSAH had a reputation for destroying villages. After their success at Pabianice, the LSSAH was assigned to the area near Warsaw, where they were attached to the Panzer Division, led by Generaloberst Georg Hans Reinhardt. They encircled the massive Polish units from escaping and defended against several attempts by other Polish troops to break through. The LSSAH demonstrated their brilliant effectiveness in combat and sticky situations during this campaign, although some here generals had concerns about the high casualties that the LSSAH and the SSVT units had sustained. In 1940, the LSSAH became a fully independent motorized infantry regiment with an assault gun battery. They were sent to the Dutch border to start the invasion of France and the Low Countries, where they covered over 75 kilometers and secured a crossing over the Ijessel River. After many horrific battles against French forces, they were still showing signs of extreme resilience and organization against the enemy forces, and completely overwhelming the opposing side. They also accidentally shot and seriously wounded Generaloberst Kurt Student during the invasion. After the surrender of the Netherlands, the LSSAH became part of the reserve for Army Group B. Later, the LSSAH was moved to the front to help hold the perimeter around Dunkirk and reduce the size of the pocket containing the encircled British Expeditionary Force and French forces. They suffered heavy casualties during the battle. After the attack, soldiers of LSA's 2nd Battalion, under the command of SS Hauptsturmführer Wilhelm Mohnke, were mistakenly told that their divisional commander, Sepp Dietrich, had been killed. In retaliation, they murdered about 80 British POWs in what became known as the Wormhout Massacre. Mohnke's involvement in the massacre is unknown as he was never brought to trial. After the Western Campaign ended on the 22nd of June 1940, the LSSAH spent 6 months in Metz and was expanded to a brigade size with additional units, including a flak battalion and a Stug battery. The regiment received a new flag in September 1940 and trained for amphibious assaults in preparation for the cancelled Operation Cielian. In February 1941, the LSSAH was sent to Bulgaria for Operation Merida, part of the planned invasion of Greece and Yugoslavia. The regiment crossed the Greek border near Prilep and advanced deep into Greek territory, following the 9 Panzer Division under General der Panzertruppen Georg Stuma's XL Panzer Corps. The LSSAH was assigned to capture the Klysura Pass and cut off the retreating Greek and British Commonwealth forces. They faced resistance from the Greek 20th Division and battled in some extremely fierce combat. An SS Sturmbannführer Kurt Meyer's unit was tasked with clearing the pass southwest of Vevey. SS Sturmbannführer Fritz Witt's battalion was assigned to clear the Klidi Pass, which was defended by the almighty Australian, British, and New Zealand troops, and bloody battles raged on. After facing fierce resistance for 2 days, the Germans launched a frontal assault and finally cleared the pass on the 12th of April. After capturing Vevey and the Klysura and Klidi passes, the Greek First Army's main line of defense was broken. The Greek army surrendered to Dietrich on the 20th of April, and only British Commonwealth troops remained in Greece, retreating to the Peloponnesos. The LSSA was ordered to secure the town of Patras, and commandeering fishing boats, successfully crossed the Gulf of Patras. By the 30th of April, the last of the British Commonwealth troops had either been captured or had escaped. The LSSA then joined forces with Army Group South for Operation Barbarossa. Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler was a regiment that performed extremely well during Merida and was upgraded to divisional status by Himmler. However, due to time constraints, it remained the size of a reinforced brigade during Operation Barbarossa. The LSSAH fought in the bloodiest battles during the invasion and was involved in the Battle of Uman, the capture of Kiev, and the offensive to clear the Crimean Peninsula. The division also participated in the fighting for Rostov-on-Don, which was captured in November 1941, but later had to fall back due to Soviet counterattacks. The LSSAH spent a horrible, harsh winter fighting defensive battles in freezing temperatures with limited supplies. The exhausted division joined Fall Blau to retake Rostov-on-Don in more awful close fighting situations and heavy urban combat, and the division was then sent back to the Western Front Normandy to be reformed as a Panzer Grenadier division. In 1942, the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler was refitted as a Panzer Grenadier division with a full regiment of tanks. In early 1943, the division was sent to defend Kharkiv against a Soviet attack, facing hundreds of T-34 tanks. The division fought in many defensive battles and was gradually pushed back into the city of Kharkiv. Despite inflicting heavy losses on the Soviets, the SS Panzer Corps was eventually outflanked, and the decision was made to abandon the city and withdraw towards Krasnograd. The SS Panzer Corps successfully annihilated the Soviet mobile group Popov in a series of hard-fought battles, which were fought brutally, with the LSSAH playing a major role. The division was then ordered to help recapture Kharkiv, forming 3 battle groups that attacked and captured the city over the course of 9 days. Kampfgruppe Meyer penetrated as far as Red Square before being cut off, while Kampfgruppe Witt fought heavy battles against a Soviet blocking force before breaking through into the city. The Kampfgruppen of LSA had trouble fighting and were repeatedly cut off, until Kampfgruppe Piper under Joachim Piper broke through and overwhelmed the defenders, leading to the recapture of Kharkiv. However, after the recapture, the Red Square of Kharkiv renamed Platz der Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler in honor of the 4,500 casualties suffered by the division. The LSSA was then pulled back for rest and refit, and their commander, Sepp Dietrich, was promoted to form a new corps. The LSSAH was to supply all senior officers for the new headquarters, and a new SS division would be formed from members of the Hitler Youth, where the LSSAH would supply most of the regimental, battalion, and company commanders. This new division later became the 12th SS Panzer Division, Hitler Jugend. In the spring season of 1943, the Battle of Kursk is in development. Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler had to halt offensive operations and rest, and also due to many of the evolutionary Tiger and Panther tanks having problems. By early June 1943, the division was refitted under the leadership of SS Brigadeführer Theodor Wisch. The division had 12 Tiger I tanks, 72 Panzer IVs, 16 Panzer III and Panzer IIs, and 31 Stugs. The division was renamed 2nd SS Panzer Corps after the formation of ISS Panzer Corps. The 2nd SS Panzer Corps, including LSA, Totenkopf, and Das Reich, moved to Belgorod in preparation for the summer offensive of Zitadel, or Kursk. LSA's Pioneer Battalion saw heavy action in minor attacks before the official Kursk attack, the 5th of July attack. LSA's panzers advanced and broke through the Soviet defenses to capture Prokhorovka. However, the extremely heavy Soviet counterattack near Oktyabrski caused the Germans to fall back, and the division was pulled many errors. The Soviets already knew the German plans, and this was detrimental to the German offensive. So Hitler ordered an immediate cease of Operation Citadel. The division suffered 2,753 casualties, including 474 killed, and lost 11 tanks. The division was then sent to Italy to stabilize the situation there. The Leibstandarte division returned to Innsbruck, Austria, to get new vehicles, and then traveled through the Alps to northern Italy, arriving on the Po River plain on the 8th of August 1943. The division guarded important roads and railways in Trento Verona, and later moved to the Parma Reggio area, where they had several skirmishes with partisans. When the Italian army collapsed on the 8th of September 1943, the division disarmed Italian troops in the Po River plain, and later, SS Sturmbannführer Piper's unit was sent to disarm Italian troops near the French border. After a battle, they succeeded in disarming the remaining Italian forces. As partisan activity increased, the division was then sent to the Istria Peninsula to fight against partisans. During its time in Italy, the Leibstandarte became a full panzer division and was renamed 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler. In November, the division was ordered back to the Eastern Front due to the severe deteriorating situation in the east and arrived in the Zhytomyr area in mid-November. The Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler was assigned to the Kexel 8th Panzer Corps on the Eastern Front, part of the 4th Panzer Army, which was struggling to hold the line near Zhytomyr. The division was divided into Kampfgruppen and sent into action, seeing heavy fighting over 2 months. The division was then transferred to the Cherkasy area, before being ordered to attempt to break the Soviet cordon and rescue Gruppe Stemmermann trapped in the Korsun pocket. Despite initial gains, the attack stalled due to resistance and thick mud. The majority of the division was withdrawn for rest and refit, while a Kampfgruppe was left behind. Later, the division took part in horrific fighting to escape the Kamenets-Podolsky pocket and successfully escaped the encirclement, and then they reformed in Belgium to be at full strength by the 25th of April. The LSSA was transferred to the Western Front with other divisions and was positioned north of the River Seine to counter any potential Allied invasion in the Pas-de-Calais area. The division arrived in Normandy a week after the Allied invasion on the 6th of June and was involved in various operations including the defense of Carpiquet village and aerodrome. On the 12th of July, the LSSAH was responsible for the Caen South sector and was relieved by the 272nd Infantry Division on the night of the 15th of July. They then withdrew to a concentration area between Ifs and Saintonge. Despite small costly victories along the Western Front, the Allied forces remained much stronger in numbers than the weakened German defense. With little to no reinforcements and supplies attacked from the air, the movement was impossible during the day. Hitler, refusing to retreat, ordered a counterattack under the name Operation Lüttich. Gunther von Kluge, the Supreme Commander West, had to believe in it and be able to detach enough armor from the main front in Normandy to create an effective striking force and achieve surprise. The XL-7 Panzer Corps, including the 2nd Panzer Division, part of the 1st SS Panzer Division, the 2nd SS Panzer Division, and the 116th Panzer Division, was available for von Kluge's counteroffensive. In an attempt to surprise the Allied forces, the German counteroffensive, known as Operation Lüttich, did not use artillery bombardments to prepare for the attack. The plan was to hit the 30th Infantry Division with 300 tanks and cut through American defenses to reach the coast. However, Allied decoders intercepted the codes for Operation Lüttich by the 4th of August, allowing the Allies to prepare for the attack with air support from both the U.S. 9th Air Force and the RAF. Despite this, the attack went smoothly at first, with the 1st and 2nd SS Panzer Division recapturing Mortain, and an armored Kampfgruppe getting as far as Bourg-le-Pin. However, the German attempt to capture Avranches the following day failed. Operation Wacht am Rhein, or the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler placed his hopes on the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler, commanded by Wilhelm Mohnke. However, the division was weakened by casualties and inexperienced replacements, and low on fuel. The operation began on the 16th of December 1944, with Mohnke choosing SS Standartenführer Joachim Peiper to lead the advance toward Antwerp. The Battle of the Bulge was a miss. The 1st SS was demanded to head back and refit and get ready for the final operation to push back the Soviets and capture the oil fields. Operation Spring Awakening was the final German offensive in Woitou, launched secretly on the 6th of March 1945, attacking in Hungary near Lake Balaton. It involved German units withdrawn from the Ardennes offensive on the Western Front, including the 6th SS Panzer Army and the LSSH. The operation aimed to capture the last oil reserves available to the Axis, but ultimately failed due to its overly ambitious scope, despite early gains. The LSSA fought extremely hard in Berlin, fighting outnumbered against superior Soviet soldiers and artillery, and Mohnke was appointed commander of the Central Government District. After Hitler's suicide, Mohnke formed Kampfgruppe Mohnke and attempted a breakout, but was mostly unsuccessful. After 6 brutal years of horrific fighting, this division came to an end. The division surrendered to U.S. forces on the 8th of May, 1945. The men who made it west were sent to different prisoner of war camps, mostly in the vicinity of Ebensee. Many of the 1st SS stayed behind in Berlin and fought with the French volunteers, but most retreated back to the U.S. forces. This division went through it all from the Battle of Poland to the final days in Berlin. Peiper's command responsibility for the Malmedy Massacre, 1944, and sentenced him to death, which later was commuted to life in prison, then 35 years. This brings us to the end of our video. 1st SS Panzer Division, Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler. If you did enjoy, please remember to hit that like button and leave a sub. Plenty of more videos like this to come. And thank you for all the support on here and over on Instagram. Remember to check out our Instagram page, link in the description. See you guys soon.